When French troops finally packed up and left Burkina Faso, a heavy question loomed over the country. Without his old Western partners, how would Captain Ibrahim Traoré defend his nation against the growing wave of terrorist threats? It was a challenge that called for sharp thinking and bold decisions. With Western governments turning their backs, refusing to supply weapons, drones, or vital military gear, Traoré quickly realized that waiting for their support was a dead end. So, he chose a different path. Instead of begging for help, he opened new doors. Traoré announced plans to build fresh alliances, including reaching out to nations once seen as Western-aligned, like Turkey. This was more than a political shift, it was a quiet revolution in Burkina Faso's defense strategy. Fast forward to today, and Burkina Faso's armed forces are no longer fighting with outdated tools. Thanks to these new partnerships, the country now boasts some of the most advanced and powerful military equipment in the region. The Western world's attempt to block the flow of weapons into Burkina Faso didn't work. Traoré has taken security into his own hands and sent a clear message. Burkina Faso is done waiting for outside saviors. So what exactly has the country gained, and why has this new strength put Western powers on edge? The clearest sign of Burkina Faso's transformation came with its latest acquisition, a shipment of high-tech combat drones from Turkey, marking a game-changing step in the fight against terrorism. According to local reports and official sources, the Burkinabe military has secured at least 2 Akancha and 3 TB2 drones from Baykar Technologies, one of Turkey's top defense companies. And that's just the beginning. Sources suggest the full package could include as many as 12 drones, designed not only for round-the-clock surveillance, but also for precision strikes on terrorist hideouts. With this new alliance, Burkina Faso is rewriting its future, shifting from being dependent and exposed to prepared and self-sufficient. Traoré's strategy is simple but powerful. Secure the nation, strengthen the people, and remind the world that Burkina Faso will stand on its own 2 feet. President Traoré has publicly praised the Akancha model's outstanding technological capabilities and highlighted the TB2's demonstrated efficacy in actual battle as reasons for his pride in these acquisitions. The growth of the drone fleet is thought to be revolutionary, since it will allow for continuous aerial observation and quick response missions. Burkina Faso's defense minister, Kassoum Coulibaly, recently expressed deep gratitude to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, recognizing the strong partnership between the 2 nations. He emphasized how important these new Turkish-made drones are for helping the country spot and eliminate terrorist threats more effectively. But here's something most headlines leave out. The purchase of these advanced drones wasn't made possible through foreign loans or Western donations. The real credit goes to the people of Burkina Faso. In an inspiring show of unity and patriotism, everyday citizens stepped up and contributed their own money to help fund the drone program. This shows just how determined Burkinabe people are to protect their land and stand together against rising insecurity. And the military upgrades didn't stop with drones. On the ground, Burkina Faso has also strengthened its forces thanks to new equipment from China. The country now has modern Norinco CS/SM-1 self-propelled mortars and Norinco WMA-301 armored vehicles, which are fitted with powerful 105mm cannons. Military analysts have even noted the arrival of 8 CS/SM-1 mortars, mounted on Dongfeng EQ-2050 tactical vehicles, along with 6 WMA-301 fire support vehicles and a WZ-551 command vehicle designed for battlefield coordination. This new equipment gives the Burkinabe Army more mobility and firepower, making them stronger and quicker to respond to threats. Interestingly, Burkina Faso is now the only African nation using these Dongfeng-based mortar systems, a clear sign that its military strategy is becoming more independent, more creative, and less predictable. And this is just the beginning. In his New Year's address on December 31st, 2023, Captain Traoré revealed that this was only the first batch of 5 planned shipments of new defense equipment. The government is fully committed to modernizing its military forces. Back in March 2023, Burkina Faso took another bold step by investing over 250 billion CFA francs, nearly 400 million USD, into a local bank for the sole purpose of financing its defense needs. This fund was created to buy modern weapons and improve the country's ability to fight terrorism without needing to wait for anyone's permission. Reports from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, CPII, show that since 2018, Burkina Faso has been quietly but steadily building up its defense strength. The country has been buying armored vehicles, planes, helicopters, and surveillance systems from several international suppliers. Under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the nation is rewriting its defense playbook. Instead of relying on foreign troops and outside donors, Burkina Faso is focusing on strengthening its own army, building better intelligence systems, and forging partnerships with countries that respect its sovereignty, whether the West approves or not. This shift in strategy is clear and direct. Burkina Faso is no longer content to play the role of a dependent state. It is choosing self-reliance, smart alliances, and national pride. And the fact that ordinary citizens are part of this journey only shows how much this change matters to the people. So, how has Burkina Faso managed to buy weapons from countries that Western powers often frown upon? The answer lies in Captain Traoré's bold foreign policy. He has chosen a path where Burkina Faso puts its own security and people first, not the opinions or approval of outsiders. In Traoré's world, any country that respects Burkina Faso's independence and is willing to work as an equal partner is welcome, whether or not it's backed by the West. Traoré recently said he was pleased with the expanding military collaboration between Russia and Burkina Faso. He recognized how important Russian-made munitions have been to bolstering the army's counterterrorism efforts. This is a clear departure from the previous reliance on Western allies, who frequently put conditions on military transactions. This view was shared by Defense Minister Kassoum Coulibaly, who pointed out that earlier deals with conventional partners were fraught with difficulties and restrictions. Now that it has more latitude to select its allies, Burkina Faso is looking for agreements that provide dependable, efficient weaponry at affordable costs, free of political pressure. As part of a broader plan to guarantee access to reasonably priced and reliable military hardware, Coulibaly stated that orders from Russia are already in motion. He underlined Burkina Faso's autonomy to choose its own defense priorities, free from outside intervention. His trip to Moscow was another indication of the two nations' growing military ties. Coulibaly emphasized the Burkinabe military's long-standing employment of Russian weapons and the significance of compatibility with their current stockpile. Although switching to new equipment can be difficult, Burkina Faso is more interested in tried-and-true, battle-tested weapons than in gaudy, cutting-edge gear. Although Russia no longer actively uses them, several older Russian weapons, particularly Russian helicopters, which have received recognition for their resilience in challenging environments, are seen to be perfect for Burkina Faso's requirements because of their robust construction and ease of maintenance. Coulibaly previously went to Moscow for the Russian Ministry of Defense's Army 2023 seminar. He was able to observe firsthand the most recent developments in Russian military equipment during this visit, which gave him important insight into real-world warfare uses. However, Burkina Faso is collaborating with other nations than Russia. Additionally, Captain Traoré is forging connections with China, South Korea, Iran, and Turkey, all of whom are prepared to offer military assistance in situations where Western governments have purposefully refused it. In addition to refusing to sell Burkina Faso deadly weapons, Western countries, especially the United States and France, have even blocked shipments of weapons that were bought from other countries. The goal of this plan was to undermine Traoré's administration and stop it from bringing stability to the nation. In an interview with writer Cyril Marcus Hervé Traoré, Traoré revealed that some of these new allies, including China, Turkey, and South Korea, have placed restrictions on military purchases, in contrast to Russia. However, Iran was emphasized as being adaptable and prepared to provide Burkina Faso with weapons that are specific to its requirements and financial capabilities. According to Traoré, the military situation in Burkina Faso was so bad at one point that the nation had to borrow weaponry from neighboring countries for some missions and then return them afterward. This last-ditch effort emphasizes how urgently self-sufficiency in defense is needed. In reaction to terror threats, Captain Traoré stressed the need for swift, decisive military action. He cited the preparedness of a new intervention battalion established under the Alliance of Sahel States, which consists of Mali and Niger. This alliance was created due to common security concerns and a rejection of ECOWAS, which Traoré brashly referred to as finished. What are his long-term goals, then? Anxiety in the West starts to show at this point, for the straightforward purpose of keeping Traoré caught in a vicious cycle of instability. The West does not want Burkina Faso to obtain deadly weapons. They wanted to stop him from carrying out his larger national agenda by denying him the means to combat terrorism. Traoré, however, declined to engage in that game. He is equipping the Burkinabe army with cutting-edge weapons and monitoring equipment because he is committed to building a strong, autonomous military. Eliminating the nation's reliance on foreign forces and empowering Burkina Faso to oversee its own security are his two main objectives. His vision of stability, strength, and sovereignty is already changing the balance of power in West Africa. Strong will and a strong dedication to enhancing Burkina Faso's national security are hallmarks of Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership. Traoré has initiated a comprehensive plan to improve the Burkinabe Armed Forces' operating capabilities in recognition of the pressing need for military modernization. The strategic procurement of cutting-edge weapons is at the core of this endeavor, with the goal of enabling the military to more successfully handle the nation's changing security threats. In addition to these expenditures, stringent training initiatives are being put in place to guarantee that soldiers have the tools and know-how required to defend the country and its citizens. A growing partnership with Russia, a world leader in military technology, is a key component of this new defense policy. Burkina Faso is able to access advanced military equipment and specialized training by utilizing Russia's experience. As Traoré works to establish the nation's sovereignty and lessen its need on former colonial powers, this alliance represents a dramatic shift away from traditional Western dependency. Traoré sees Burkina Faso standing boldly on the global scene, able to handle its security issues with fortitude and independence, thanks to these alternative alliances. This alliance with Russia is historical and personal, in addition to being geopolitical. Traoré has compared the shared history of suffering and resistance between Russia and Africa by stating, "We feel like family." Both peoples' African forebears, who were forcibly drafted to free Europe and Russia against Nazism during World War II, played crucial roles in the global struggle against oppression, despite frequently being left out of popular narratives. According to Traoré, contemporary imperialism is a new kind of oppression that Burkina Faso is currently dealing with. The nation has been battling a vicious wave of neocolonialism and assault on its independence masquerading as international cooperation for more than 8 years. Traoré, however, declines to present Burkina Faso as a victim. He declares firmly, "Our ancestors taught us that a slave who cannot revolt does not deserve pity." Sympathy is not what we are seeking. We're determined to fight back. People all around the nation have been motivated by this spirit of resistance. The Volunteers for the Defense of the Nation, VDPs, are a group of citizens from more than 20 localities who have volunteered to protect their nation. But although these courageous citizens receive plaudits at home, some foreign governments and even Western-aligned African leaders term them militias. This is a glaring double standard, particularly when comparable acts in Europe are hailed as patriotic. This hypocrisy is contested by Traoré, who exposes it as an ongoing effort by imperial powers to subjugate and dominate African countries. The development of an independent military force that is not dependent on outside forces, especially those from France and other Western countries, is at the heart of Traoré's agenda. With the help of strategic international alliances and indigenous defense capabilities, Burkina Faso hopes to regain complete authority over its security matters, free from outside influence or meddling. Burkina Faso is prepared to take on terrorism head-on, thanks to its state-of-the-art weapons, specialized training, and unwavering national resolve. Captain Traoré imagines a time when there is peace again, progress is made, and terrorism is eradicated. But we will not compromise this vision. Traoré has stated unequivocally that he is prepared to take on any challenge, especially African politicians who support foreign interests at the expense of their own citizens. He denounces those who use imperialist language, labeling Burkina Faso's supporters militias and casting doubt on their dedication to human rights. What are we discussing in terms of human rights? He asks sharply. It is dishonorable. He urges other African leaders to cease acting like puppets, moving to the music whenever the imperialists tug the ropes. Rather, he exhorts them to support their people, protect their independence, and cease aiding a system that still subjugates Africa from inside. Still here? That means you're enjoying the content. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. Done? Great, let's keep going. However, how is this going to happen? In order to eradicate terrorism and bring about enduring peace and security for his people, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has developed a creative and realistic plan for Burkina Faso's future. The upgrading of the Burkinabe military, both through advanced training and the purchase of cutting-edge weapons from other international partners like China, South Korea, Iran, Turkey, and Russia, is at the core of this program. Traoré envisions a targeted and organized strategy, one operation at a time, to destroy terrorist networks throughout the nation with these vital tools. Enhancing the Burkinabe Army's combat preparedness and expertise is the main goal of the first phase of Traoré's plan. Troops are receiving the discipline, tactics, and strategies required for successful counterterrorism operations through demanding, specialized training programs. More than 100 Russian military officers have already traveled to Burkina Faso as part of the African Corps to start training. The Burkinabe Army is entering a new era that is based on professionalism, independence, and technical accuracy. Traoré is making the purchase of cutting-edge weapons a top priority, in addition to training. Traoré has looked to nations that are prepared to work with him without imposing political restrictions after realizing that Western nations have traditionally limited weaponry shipments to Burkina Faso. sometimes even preventing delivery from other parties. The Burkinabe army is getting the firepower it needs to confront threats directly and on its own terms, from long-range weapons and armored vehicles to drones and monitoring systems. Traoré intends to launch a number of well-coordinated, intelligence-driven military actions after training and equipment are finished. These will be specifically targeted in order to destroy insurgent strongholds, retake seized areas, and interfere with terrorist command centers. The objective is to maximize impact while avoiding civilian losses by operating with surgical accuracy. The goal of this methodical territory-by-territory strategy is to gradually regain national authority while undermining terrorist organizations' ability to operate. However, prior to this, where was Burkina Faso? The Burkinabe army continued to be undertrained, under-equipped, and unduly reliant on foreign powers, especially France, for many years. This was no coincidence. It was a plan. French military actions in Burkina Faso purposefully hindered the development of an independent army by operating without consulting indigenous forces. France made sure that its military presence would continue to be essential by denying access to modern weapons and declining to encourage the creation of a true army. There were two reasons for this dependency: to maintain authority over the political and security direction of Burkina Faso, to stop the development of an autonomous, powerful, and sovereign military. However, when Captain Ibrahim Traoré rose to prominence, everything started to change. Traoré marked a significant shift from the status quo with his intention to look for new military partnerships, particularly with Russia. By investing in weapons from non-Western partners and inviting Russian military advisors, Traoré upended the entire post-colonial reliance system. This was not just a change in strategy. A proclamation of sovereignty was made. Burkina Faso was unwilling to accept assistance or education in a passive manner anymore. It was prepared to forge its own path, protect its own boundaries, and act in its own best interests. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a youthful, visionary leader whose audacious actions have alarmed many in the West, is at the heart of this change. What do you think, then? Can Captain Ibrahim Traoré overcome terrorism in Burkina Faso by training a top-tier army with Russian know-how and cutting-edge weapons? Could the Burkinabe army be the first in Africa to carry out very effective, well-planned counterterrorism operations that retake lost territory and uphold national honor? Does this mark the start of a new era for Africa? Subscribe to our channel to join us in this crucial discussion. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click the subscribe button and enable notifications. Together, let's inspire change and disseminate information. Thank you for viewing.